almost completely open to the rest of the world. We have very few, almost minimal tariffs, and otherwise open to investment in the United States across the board. And so it is a matter of engaging in trade agreements that sort of bring down the barriers to exports from the U.S. of our goods and our services. And what these agreements are intended to do is to bring down those barriers one by one, or in this case, all together with 11 other economies. Why is there not a consensus that this is a good thing for us, that exports do translate to the lifting of most boats, not all, we can talk about that in a moment, but the trade in the net is good for the United States and it's good for the American economy? Why have we not been able to get to that point of discussion?
So first, I guess I would say the votes on TPA were in some ways remarkably a positive development, given the types of support for that particular instrument that enables us to go out and continue to negotiate. So there is not a lot of consensus in Washington on many political issues. We live in a time of challenges, and trade is no exception to that. And yet we've actually been able to move forward in very important ways and in bipartisan ways in the trade arena. The second thing I guess I would say is that I see trade policy, the development of trade policy, as an iterative process. And to give an illustration, there have been disagreements over particular aspects that probably are familiar to many or all of you. And yet those disagreements have, over time, moved the agenda forward and I believe become somewhat less divisive over time. Let me give you an example. Over the last 15 years, labor standards, how they should be incorporated in our trade agreements, has been a difficult issue, and there have been disagreements. And yet, in 2007, there was an agreement between the Bush administration and the Congress to move that agenda forward in a particular way. And then there was a new resting place for trade policy that was reflected in 4 of our agreements with Peru and Colombia and Panama and Korea. So those agreements then reflected a new state of the art, if you will, for labor policy. Also, that agreement touched aspects of our intellectual property rights policy.